Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an exciting one. This one's coming from Reiff Knives. This is their Circadian Sheepsfoot. I was stoked whenever I saw the pictures of these because I reviewed the original Circadian and I love this one, but I usually go for blades that have a lower tip because I don't need that drastic belly. But if you do, that's perfectly fine. I still love this one and it gets a good bit of use. Talk about can take a beating, and that edge holds up outstanding. I've sharpened this one I think 3 times now, and it can handle some real deal abuse. I did some dumb stuff with it just because it was what I was carrying that day, and boy, it did great. So this one has the pocket leather sheath with the ulti-clip, and I don't mind this one, but it is kind of thick leather, and being that I live in the South, super hot, humid environment, especially in the summertime, the thick leather sometimes makes me sweat profusely, and that's been the case with this one. So this version, I have the Kydex sheath. Now, of course, I would have loved this to be a fold-over taco sheath, kind of like they did for the leather. That way, it would have made it a little bit more minimal, but they did do a good job of hogging any material off that was unnecessary. So it's not terrible in the pocket or anything. Got a nice drainage hole at the bottom, tons of lashing points so you can put whatever type of clip you want on it. This is what came with this one. The tech lock, also USA made, just like this entire fixed blade. Everything you see on it is either sourced from the US or made in the US. I personally like to carry mine with the ulti-clip, so I put the ulti-clip on it. Now I am covering up, as you can see, that large rubber washer right there. You can tighten it up and you can set the tension on the sheath. Absolutely no rattle, nice positive click to it. And if it starts to loosen up, you can tighten that up more and more. This one works flawlessly. I've had some in the past that did not function that well at all. We'll check out how this one carries in a little bit, but let's get into this one. So I'm pretty sure it's the same size as the original at 7¼ inches long. It has a 3.28 inch Sheepsfoot blade of CPM magnet cut steel. I love their logo there, and you have the name of the knife, Reiff, on this side. Nice top swedge that thins out that tip, giving you a nice precision tip. So if you need to do some fine detailed stuff, you're gonna be able to easily do that with this one. You do have a nice longer row of effective jimping. It gripped my thumb nicely without being uncomfortable. They have a perfectly executed sharpening notch right there. I'm glad they didn't go any higher. They brought the plunge grind almost all the way back, so you're gonna have some sharpening life. And once I get to the plunge, then I can just start to open it up little by little. That way I don't have a big gap to get hung up in. The finish on this one, I'm guessing like a blasted tumbled finish. It's very smooth and slick to the touch. This is gonna be a great utilitarian blade shape. In hand cuts, it can be fantastic. And being that it's pretty much a straight edge, you're gonna have full power from heel to tip, allowing you to get a lot of force into whatever you're cutting. And like I said just a while ago, the detailed cuts are gonna be very, very easy because of that thinner tip. And you should still be able to cut stuff on a flat cutting surface in the pinch grip just because of the way this straight edge kind of cants up toward that tip. I love when I see it like that. That way I know I'm able to do some stuff on a flat cutting surface. Your blade stock thickness is coming in at 0.12. You got a pretty high flat saber grind on this one that comes down to around 24 thousandths behind the edge. So this one should be a very tough fixed blade. And if it performs anything like my previous Circadian, it should be a fairly slicey EDC fixed blade. Let's find out. Knife came with I would call it pretty good edge out of box. Not the best edge in the world, but definitely good enough. And feels like it may be a little sharper toward the tip area. We'll find that out in just a little bit, but being it's a straight edge, it's going to really excel at the cardboard cutting. You're going to have full power from heel to tip because of that straight edge. And yeah, I was super excited whenever I found out they were doing the Sheepsfoot version of this. Now we're testing the ergos, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this because I already have tested extensively the other variant, the drop point, and I know how extremely comfortable this knife is. The handle scales, fill out the hand perfectly. You got just the right amount of traction because of the nice milled lines on the micarta, and they're super grippy because they blast them. Yeah, I can't tell you how comfortable and how much pressure I can get behind my cuts with the Circadian. I love it. Could do these all day. So now we move on to the 1/2 inch sisal rope, and that's why I said in the very beginning that I think up toward the tip, in that general vicinity, it felt like it had way more bite to that edge, and that could be the case, and no big deal. Because the reason I say that is because it was effortlessly cutting the 1/2 inch sisal rope, and I could have done that for quite some time. And I hate that test, but as long as the knife has a good edge on it, it's always going to perform good. And that's all I can ask for, man. Can't stand whenever a company sends me a dull knife, and I haven't had that problem with Reiff yet. They seem to really pay attention to what they're doing on their knives, and I've been just enjoying all three of the Reiff knives I've gotten so far. They've all performed great. This one is no exception. And when it comes to both blade shapes in the Circadian, I prefer the Sheepsfoot. I can get more utility out of it, and it just, for me, I don't cut a lot of stuff on flat cutting surfaces. I'm usually cutting stuff in hand, and Sheepsfoot is great for that. But you could choose. But if you don't like Sheepsfoot, of course, you could choose the other blade shape as well. They're both great. Now we're gonna move on. You can see, because of that Sheepsfoot and how thin it is by that tip, you can get some very intricate drag cuts with that tip. If you needed to make a very fine precision cut, that's going to be great for that as well. And as far as the other materials I'm cutting, I thought it performed good. The straight edge has a little bit of a cant up to that tip, so it's a little bit more versatile than say just a Warncliffe would be, and I love that. Well, I enjoyed testing this one, just like on the original. The edge didn't have as much bite as I hoped it had, like the previous one, but that's not a big deal at all. I'm going to be sharpening this one up immediately after this review anyway, and I can either drop the bevel back some if I want. I don't know exactly what this one's set at, but it was slicing well. It might have been over polished because, as you can see there, it's got a very reflective edge to it. Still sharp, I mean, you can see, and I think it was from about here to here, it was a lot sharper than this back portion. But like I said, not an issue. At least I don't think, because I can easily sharpen it. If you own knives, if you don't know how to sharpen, you definitely should learn. Now let's take a look at these scales. I love this micro milling they do on the micarta scales, and they sandblast them, or there's some sort of blasting. So the grip on this is perfect. Those lines right there offer the perfect amount of traction. Not to mention, look at that contouring and all the softening. This thing is very, very comfortable. The thickness is perfect. You got somewhat of a swell up here in the front. You see it kind of tapers back here. And then you also have those lines that go all the way to the edge right there, so it gives you a little bit of extra traction, so the knife's not sliding around your hand. And being that you have a fairly neutral handle, no matter which grip I hold it in, I find it to be very comfortable. Then you have this rounded over spot just in case you need to stick it into some wood or something to do some feather sticks. That pinch grip was comfortable. And just in case you needed to remove these scales, you got some nice large fasteners there. Pretty sure there's a Torx. I know a Torx T20 fits in there. Love seeing that. And they have them coated black to match the black canvas micarta. You got a nice large lanyard hole. You could easily fit 550 through there if you want to tie a lanyard to it. You have a full tank construction. So for me, I'm carrying mine with the Alti clip, and I'm in my lightweight shorts. I've been carrying this one quite often since it's came in, and I hardly know it's there, especially when I got a longer shirt on. You don't even see it there. That's all that's sticking out of the pocket. and I can easily access it, no problem whatsoever. And whenever I'm wanting to put it back, I just push it out like that, and voila. Of course, you could put it on a tech lock if you like the scout carry. That would be great for that. Or if you like the appendix carry, you know, the sky's the limit. Just carry it whichever way you like best or whichever way is more comfortable for you. For me, it's the 3x3 ulti-clip. Now for some quick size comparisons. As you can see, it's the same size as the original Circadian, and it's a good bit bigger than the Reiff F3. Next, it's a little shorter than the White River Ursus Cub, and it's a little bigger than the Creeley Mako. And it's pretty much identical in length to the White River Sendero, and it's just a hair longer than the Bark River Bravo EDC. And lastly, it's in the middle of the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. I'd say more similar in length to the Rat 2. Now, being that absolutely no knives perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? Like I said earlier, to be nitpicky, it would have been nice if this would have been a fold-over taco style sheath. That way it's a lot more minimal in the pocket, taking up less room, because that's just the way I tend to carry my EDC Fixed Blades. But like I said earlier, they did a good job of taking off any excess materials. You see this dips right here, and then they kind of took everything off. Everything's finished nicely. So I had no issues with it in my pocket. At least when it's like this, you could put a tech lock on here and it would work well in scout carry. So, you know, to me, it's definitely not a deal breaker. And also, if I'm being nitpicky, I would have loved to have more bite to the edge, especially in this portion. However, that's an easy fix. And my last one that I tested had a fantastic edge. So, you know, that's a very minor nitpick to me because I can definitely sharpen a knife, and I plan on sharpening it up right after this anyway. Now, I do realize this is going to be out of most people's price ranges, and it's probably going to be on several of y'all's complaints. It's coming in at $285. It's totally USA made, and I'm pretty certain they have a no questions asked warranty. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up on the screen. That right there is huge. I think if you just break it, they replace it. Not certain on that, but I'm pretty sure. I remember from last time. And from testing my original Circadian and using it, and I'm going to be honest, abusing it, it's held up so well. I was chopping some copper tubing, just some little round copper tubing. We were doing something with the grandkids, and I was outside, and I didn't feel like going all the way back to the house to get a cutter or anything. So I figured if I messed up the edge on my Circadian, I could just sharpen it back up. It took absolutely no damage whatsoever. It was still slicing phone book paper cleanly. So the heat treat on these is spot on. They hold a great edge, especially after your first and second sharpening. I noticed the performance is going to jump up to about maybe the third or fourth. You'll get max performance out of it. And all in all, I love how comfortable the Circadian is. For my medium-sized hands, I get a perfect four-finger grip. The texture is grippy without being uncomfortable. And for me, somebody with neuropathy, that is very important. But when it comes to this one, I can cut and cut and cut, and I have absolutely no issues. I think it's a good-looking fixed blade. And not to mention, I love to be able to support U.S. companies any chance I get. To me, they're the knives that have soul to them. And, you know, at that price, you're going to have to make that decision. Do I think you'll like it? Absolutely. And not to mention, I think it'll last you for a lifetime. So that's going to wrap up today's video. I'd love to hear y'all thoughts on the new Reiff Knives Circadian. If you own this one or the original Circadian, let us know what you think about it down below in the comments. That way, you're not just taking my word on it. And if you're interested in this one, I will have it linked down below in the description. It will more than likely be an affiliate link. So if you want to help support this channel, you can use my links. That helps me pay for my testing materials. If so, I can't thank you enough. If not, no sweat at all. So if you have any questions in particular, feel free to ask me down below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp. Smile more. Peace. Peace.